Okay, in this video, we're going to actually move on to knocking some color out, and then we'll make our way into the perfect blacks and some of this other stuff. So I tried to set this up in two ways, and it's going to be a little manual. But what you're basically going to have the ability to do is knock out one of the 6 major hues. Once you knock it out, you can then apply the mask to either the group or the default, what actually sets it to the color itself. Because it really depends on the artwork. There's no magic way to do this perfectly. There never will be. Especially in Photoshop and dealing with actions, somebody would have to create some dedicated software. But this is the next best thing to try to keep it in Photoshop the best we can. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is we're going to target red. But you have to understand that red has influence in other colors, especially if you have artwork where like red's colliding into a yellow to create an orange, things like that. If you're removing red, it's not as simple as, oh wow, I'm going to select this perfect red, this red right here, and just knock out that section. I'm doing the best I can to kind of give you access to something like that, but it's just not something that's pretty straightforward. So keep in mind, this is not a perfect tool. You're going to have some knowledge to kind of navigate the waters. So let's get started. I'm just going to hit and click on Knockout Red. So I've let that process, and essentially what I've done is I've knocked the red out, but I've actually left behind the lightness and darkness that were in those areas. I just removed red's influence from the image. So let's go over the layer structure. So you're going to see a folder, which is KO red, knockout red, and it's basically like the knockout black. So you have the blacks to the image, and you can see now where I've actually knocked out the red. Now, Photoshop's color management isn't the greatest, and let's zoom in. So you're going to see there's probably going to be some leftover red, and it depends on your monitor viewing this video. But sometimes you'll see red kind of get left behind, but it's just the preview. It's Photoshop is basically trying to anti-alias or smooth out this image as you're in different zoom levels. So let me expand that a little bit more. So I'm going to turn the blacks on so you can see red's influence is removed there. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, I wanted to knock out the red in that area. I didn't want to leave behind any sort of color values. Well, the only option that you have essentially is to grab that mask, click and drag, and throw it. Make sure you see the cyan highlight that shows that you have the group selected, and then release onto the group. And you'll essentially knock that stuff out, but that's probably not the result you're looking for. So that's why I default to the hues layer. But you have the ability to do that. You can move the mask around. So I'm actually going to undo that move. But that's essentially what all these knockouts are doing. I know it's probably not the perfect solution for everybody, but it's the closest thing that you'll get to doing something like that beyond what I have up here. It's called custom color knockout, where we're actually selecting a specific color and trying to knock it out. Again, there's a lot of math behind stuff like this, and it's not a perfect science because every single color, if you drop it into grayscale, has its own unique lightness and darkness value, and that is in the math of trying to pull a color. So I'm trying to navigate the waters the best I can to kind of help you guys with this stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try to process another one of these with this group. So let's see if we can trigger an issue. But I'm going to go ahead and let's say that's exactly what we wanted. And now we need to get rid of yellow. Let's click on the group, and we're going to hit knockout yellow. So it's going to run through the process, and you'll see we've broken the action. It says could not complete the command because the selected area is empty. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to hit undo, and you'll see even when I hit undo, we've basically broken it. So this is a hot mess. There's not much we can do. I generally in my actions try to leave behind the original artwork, so I'm just going to grab everything, trash it, and we're going to start over. So keep in mind, when you're doing these colors, you're not going to be able to run them one after the other. You're going to have to either merge, duplicate, merge, basically merge into a new layer, and then go from there. So let's go ahead. I think the action's playing still. Let me go out of button mode. No, it's still going. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead with that layer selected. I'm going to click on red. Let that process. Let's say this is the result we want. Well, the next step is either merge this layer or duplicate it and then merge it. So I'm going to leave it behind just in case I want to go back. And what I'm going to do is I'll turn it off. I'm going to do a Command or Control J, as in John, to duplicate and turn it on. Make sure all the layers on the inside are turned on. And then I'll merge it. So I'm going to do a Command or Control E. So now that it's merged, then I can go in and process with the knockout yellow. So let's go ahead and click that. Now we also need to be careful. Remember, layer names can play a part in screwing things up. So if it breaks again, rename the layer as well, and that includes the old group. So let's click knockout yellow. So again, broke it. So let's run through this scenario again. So I'm going to delete all this stuff, turn on the layer. We'll click at knockout red. All right, and then what I'm going to do is rename it to whatever for now. Duplicate, turn off the old duplicate, merge this one down, and then we'll process with knockout yellow. And we're still getting an issue. So with those messed up layers deleted, let's process it one last time. So this is going to be the way that you're going to want to do it. We'll hit knockout red, let that process. And my suggestion is now, just go ahead and merge that folder. If you don't and you want to keep the folder, you're going to have to rename all of the layers to do it. But let's just go ahead and merge it. So we'll merge that. We'll leave the name, and we'll click it knockout yellow. Okay, and now we've got our knockout yellow. And same goes for this one. Merge this layer, or you're going to have to go in and relabel all of those layers to keep the grouping if you want. So we'll go ahead and hit merge, and then we'll just click knockout green. Okay, successful there. Merge that one down and move on to, I believe, cyan. So cyan and blue get the same colors because in Photoshop it doesn't let you pick any sort of custom colors when you're doing this color labeling. So that one's done. Hit merge, move on to blue. That one's done. We'll merge that. And then we'll do magenta. And with magenta, the last thing I'll show you is essentially the same thing that we did in the previous videos with knockouts. So if you want to knock out more, which there's probably no need because it basically takes care of it, you can attempt to. You can blur things. There's all sorts of stuff. But you're pretty much not going to have much left behind. And you can see that even there's some sort of diffusion going on here when it's knocking out specific areas that have transparency. But you could do that. You could come in and tweak the mask that you're working with, or turn it off and on to kind of see what you're doing. But that essentially covers that. So that's your knockout colors. It's not. It's honestly not the greatest. Whoop, let me back that up. Make sure I have that. We'll hit merge. And we've essentially knocked out the color. In that progress, you're probably going to want to do a knockout white after everything's done. So you can hit that and have that version. Hit undo, step back, keep hitting undo. Oh, no, let's actually just delete. That doesn't matter because it backed it up. Or just hit knockout only white, editable. So you've essentially knocked out all the colors, but that's the functionality. And as you can see, we went through each color option, and I showed you potential errors, which you're basically going to have to merge. So the final version that I'm going to show you is basically manually going in and relabeling the layers. So we're going to do a knockout red, and let's say we want to keep this group. What you're just going to have to do is just rename them. Come in here, rename, and rename. Hit enter. Click on the group, and then we'll do yellow. You can see now that works. So if you want to keep the grouping of the previous one, you just have to manually go into the layers to be able to keep those groups. My suggestion, it's so easy to go back and do stuff. Just merge it and move on. Click whatever color if you want to get rid of magenta. Just make sure when you're done, merge that layer down. So that covers your color knockouts. And in the next video, we're going to work on a custom color knockout. See you there.